Welcome back, everyone, to Random Thoughts. We're jumping into another round 2 of Fright Night 2 game, this time between DT and Crazy Stripes. Let's see what they have in store for us. Quick aside, everybody, before we get into the actual content, I was accepted into the Phobies Content Affiliate Program, the content creator program, you might call it. Shout out to the Phobies team, and thank you for that. But the reason I'm telling you, everybody out there, dear viewer, dear listener, is to let everybody know that I do receive some compensation from the Phobies team as a result of being part of that program. Now, I loved Phobies before, and I still love Phobies now, and I expect I will still continue to love Phobies in the future. So look forward to more Phobies content coming from Random Thoughts. So now, on with the show. Here we are, everyone, zoning into game 1 between Ram, aka Crazy Stripes, and DT, sporting the always classy, always flashy, Leshy avatar. Now we're zoning into Red Rum. We'll see what our players have to offer for this particular map. I've mentioned on many occasions before, I just don't like this map. I find it kind of uncomfortable. I've gotten more used to it over time, but I'm still not a humongous fan. Now, DT has kind of leaned into the stabby opener in more recent games, but DT is, as mentioned on many occasions before, the Earl of Eternal Nights and very much a Blastomatic enjoyer. We'll see if those particular phobies make an appearance here. But in the meantime, we see a 2-0 panic point advantage and actually an initial bank from our blue player to 6 keys, which is kind of unique. We'll see how this plays out. DT is elected to actually instead try and flood the board. So we see a Cassowary and Bachelor follow up because he needs to recover from this 2-0 panic point advantage. Now, it is interesting to expend your life in this way, expend your heart health in this way. And it's something that I see a lot of people kind of panic and go, I gotta reclaim all the points right now. You don't have to. Take some time and figure out what's necessary. Now, this is a cool play that we'll wait for the turn to finish so we can see where everything ends up, and I'll explain why I think this Contortio move is a cool play. So we do, in fact, see the Eternal Night show up. And then we get a bank here. So we're going to pause because this is the final position. We get a panic point advantage going orange. Point number 2, though, is this invade with the Contortio onto the Erratic. Why is that cool? Because the Contortio is obviously going to die. But Erratic is slow. Erratic is trying to funnel through this choke point, and this Contortio just body blocking the Erratic means that if Erratic attacks twice, it doesn't advance. And if Erratic doesn't attack twice, that means that there has to be another Phobie to supplement the takedown on this, and then Erratic still only ends up where the Contortio is. Point being is that Erratic will be standing in range of a whole bunch of stuff. Well, maybe not a whole bunch. It's going to be the Stabby and the Cassowary, which isn't enough to take it down, but you do get shots that you can hit, retreat against this Erratic, thereby forcing your opponent to allow it to be softened up, or you are, maybe not, that's a weird way to put it. You are just softening up the Erratic as it continues its march to get involved. And there isn't much, because of the earlier takedowns, on Crazy Stripe's side in order to supplement and support this Erratic. So all of it's going to have to come from the vault with only 3 keys available. So the temporal advantage, the tempo advantage here, I think is pretty cool. But instead, we see the jar come down. It's going to eliminate or help eliminate the Bachelor. This Cassowary is now dead. This Cassowary is 100% dead because it's going to get shot by either the Erratic, the Stabby, or the Eternal Night, or a combination thereof. I'm going to reposition here from the Cassowary. Honestly, I'm not thrilled about that. Okay, we're moving the Stabby. I was going to say I'm not thrilled about it because the Erratic will move up and splash onto it, but now the Erratic can't touch anything. And if it sets foot in range, it's going to get hit by every single one of these Phobies. It's going to get hit by a Stabby because it can move here. The Eternal Night can move up, it'll hit. The Murder Wing can move up, it'll hit. And the Cassowary can move up. So that's 5, 10, we'll say 1,000, 1,500 and change, might even be 1,600, might be 2K. There's only a 1,900 health Erratic because it took that earlier hit from the Contortio and wasn't able to heal it all off. Although even at max health, it was going to only be 2069. So, nice. Anyway, we get a stabby follow-up, but right now it's triple panic point orange. We have a huge advantage board position-wise, panic point-wise, obviously life total-wise, in favor of our orange player. Now, in the interim, we're actually getting an aggressive heart attack, aggressive heart invade. This really drives home the invade level of this. And we get the stabby repositioning. There's going to be a lot of splash potentially happening no matter which target. Erratic's going to be able to hit multiple things. That's a pretty cool picture for the heart. 2816. This is an enormous amount of damage that has gone down, and we're only on turn 11. 11 of 16. So as you can see, this game is probably over in short order, and unless our blue player is somehow able to wipe out everything on the orange player's side, I think we know which way this one's going to go. No spoilers. So we do see a number of takedowns. The cassowary we knew was going to die. It was likely that the murder wing was going to die. And now we see a cowbell trying to squeak by and reclaim a point. Now, what I would have liked to have seen, truthfully, is another one key to body block here. The reason being is that this Eternal Knight and Stabby are probably just going to go face. I imagine they're just going to go face. And you allowed, as the blue player, an easy avenue. Now, could the path have been cleared anyway? Yes. But this is damage you didn't need to take. And you had the keys to spare, so I think it would have been worth it, because now, all of a sudden, on turn 13... pause. It looks like one of the ghosts from Pac-Man. Anyway, we're down to 256 health. The writing's kind of on the wall here. We do see a Murder Wing come out. Murder Wing's going to help take down some of these threats. Help eliminate them. But, yeah, Jar goes down. We get a Droney to come out here. Get the recap here. The Droney's obviously going to take his bottom point, but because you are so low, you can tank a single hit. Like, if your opponent, as the orange player, is only able to recap 1 point and make it a 2-to-1 advantage, they can't quite kill you with just panic points. But it's low enough that it's pretty scary. So at this point, the elimination of DT's forces has all but entirely happened. Only the Snowball and now the supplementary Jar have come out. And the Snowball is going to be vulnerable. Snowball is going to be vulnerable. But the Jar means that you could actually run in and just hit the heart. This is a 270 damage Jar. If the Jar is able to get in range, the game is over. Oh no. Not like this. Okay. They block the Jar. No, they don't block the Jar! They don't block the Jar. Oh no. This would have been such an incredible... Oh, I feel so bad. I don't want to sound like I don't want it to come across as I'm trying to beat up on Crazy Stripes, but this is painful. This would have been such an incredible comeback. We got to go back into this game. I'm sorry. So we're zoning back into this game because we have to see the end there. We have to see the end. This one has got to sting. Oh, I'd be so tilted. I'd be so tilted. This would have been such a spectacular comeback. So the Jar came out. This Snowball goes down. There are 3 keys remaining. There's a panic point advantage blue. So you just need to make sure that you maintain 2 of them. One of them is going to be locked down here because you have the Stabby on it. Like, they can't kill the Stabby and take the point. The Droney takes the northmost point. It's too healthy. Again, they can't kill it and reclaim it. So you can't die right now to panic points. You can't die to panic points at this stage. This is the mistake. So you do get the body block here from the Eternal Knight, but this is a valid space, and this Murder Wing, if we go back, could have gone to this spot. So the Murder Wing could have ended up south of this Eternal Night, Meatball is live. Like, this thing can't die to the jar. That's the game. There are 3 keys left for DT, yes, but you have an erratic in position, you have all the panic points, basically none of your phobies are going to die. You just collapse on whatever their remaining phobie is, and then the game is yours. Now, while that is excruciatingly painful from our blue player's perspective, shout out to our orange player for recognizing and having the heads-up play to say, hey, this is how I'm going to have to win this game. Yes, on this turn, it's obvious there's no other move. If you can't go here, you can't go here. You're not going to make it anywhere else in order to hit the heart, be in range of the heart. But a couple turns ago, that jar came out. So it's setting that up and getting into position. So GG, shout out to both players. Let's hope that game 2 is as exciting as this one. Yeah. Ooh, after that game 1, I kind of needed to take a break because my heart was going, and I'm not even playing the game. I'm just watching the game, and I kind of knew what was going to happen before we even got in. But that's besides the point. So we're jumping into game 2 here on Home Sweet Home. We have DT going first in the blue trunks with Crazy Stripes, aka Ram Ram, in the orange trunks going second. We get the stabby opener. Let's see if we have as exciting of a game 2 as we do or did for game 1. Now, Stabby, I'm not a huge fan of on this map. It's a little more difficult to get the turret set up to cover 2 points. I mean, it's not that bad. The Stabby can go here and then cover these 2 points, so you could take this northern one. I guess it's fine. This seems to, and part of the reason why in my head it's not as much a Stabby map is it feels as though this is more of a jar map. That is, the jar can get on the stim and cover 2 points. But I think Stabby's probably fine here. It's just not as aggressively positioned as you are in other maps. Maybe it is. I don't know. But we get a flood of different phobies. We get a Gin Sting coming out, as well as Cassowary and Cat for our orange player. K9 and Bacillus supplement our blue player's forces. And then, of course, Eternal Night. Now, the Eternal Night going to the southernmost point, I'm not a huge fan of. The reason being is that, I mean, it could swing middle. But the problem is, if it takes this point and then dies, it's going to pull whatever it is onto the point, which admittedly probably then die, but it gives the panic point right back. And since we get a Contortio follow-up here, that means that... Ooh, this is interesting. Okay, so we preempt the pull here by getting the Gin Sting hit with a little bees action in order to remove the Eternal Night. Now, we're probably trading Cassowary for Eternal Night here, which I'm not super enthusiastic about. I much prefer having Cassowary. It just opens up more options for you. And instead, we now see a 2-0 panic point advantage for our blue player, and the Gin Sting is out of position to really threaten this K9. You're not going to push out enough damage to it, despite the earlier bees, unless you leave it here, in which case, then it's going to get blown up by Cassowary and our Stabby. So it's probably, whoa, it's way lower. It may not even need that. It's 500 health. We don't even need that much. You can just die to the Cassowary. So the Gin Sting's going to have to get the hell out of dodge. And instead, we have a veritable army showing up on the side of our blue player. They are in very much a dominating position, both panic point-wise as well as from a phobie position. Now, we get the supplementary Eternal Night as well as a Cowbell to try and match the Flood. And even an Electricat. Now, Electricat is presumably just a 1 key here. I would have rather have seen a 2 key or a bank, probably another 2 key, just so you have more board presence, but there's no real point in the Electricat. If it's going to do one-shot the Cowbell, it probably isn't even going to do that. This is a level 4 Electricat. So this was probably just a recap position. Our orange player is anticipating probably this play with the Stabby to eliminate things, clear out stuff, and get this panic point advantage 3-0. But the Electricat was not positioned defensively enough, so the invade from DT allows the elimination there. Less about the loss. Clearly, Electricat is not that important. But the big deal here is that we are seeing a lot of negative board position for our orange player. They're just hemorrhaging board position and unable to recap these points. But an effective bees does allow the jar and the bees to eliminate some of the little guys from our blue army. thereby allowing, finally, panic point advantage going to orange. Another turret character from our blue player. We're going to see a takedown here on the Eternal Knight. Big shock there. Now, as mentioned earlier, Eternal Knight here is going to pull something, although it was kind of the other way around. Eternal Knight is going to pull something onto the stem. We get the advance to eliminate the Jin Sting, which was in a very much weakened state. And now we have a pretty solid advantage for our blue player. Our orange player is not out of it. They still have 10 keys remaining as compared to only the 6 from our blue player. But there's a panic point advantage. An open stem that cannot really be defended here. You know, you could pop something out. Maybe you put a ranged character down here. But Jin Sting is out of the picture. What range is it going to be for 4 keys or less? We do have a live meatball, so that jar is not long for this world, most likely. We also have a cassowary, which won't be... Actually, this cassowary can eliminate the jar. So there's multiple ways that wherever this jar goes, it's probably dead. On top of the fact that Stabby is in such an advanced position here that it's going to be super difficult to actually clear it out. So we see a Murder Wing as the response. It allows a meatball. We're going to see some hits from Jar. It's probably a dead Stabby. I have to imagine this is a dead Stabby. It is, in fact, a dead Stabby. Otherwise, that play makes no sense, which we're not in the business of making plays that make no sense. That being said, the cowbell's going to go down. It's possible for... No, it's not possible. I was going to say it's possible for the Murder Wing to go down, but it would have to ignore the cowbell, and you'd have to sneak both past the Murder Wing and the cassowary, and there was no way for that to happen. So now we see triple panic point blue once again, thanks to Snowball. Huge mobility. Shout out to the Snowball fans, because Snowball's great. Now we see a defensive posture from Orange. They have, at 3775, you have a few turns, but not many when you're taking 700 a turn from simply the panic points. And we see the Stabby follow-up. I'm not sure that's what you need. I'm not sure that's what you need, but what do you need in this position? I'm not really clear, to be perfectly honest. A sheep as a Hail Mary could work, but we have Bo Mangles, who's both going to tank it and not get poisoned. Clearly, everything else is going to move out of the way. But we're going to see a takedown on the Murder Wing, who's kind of left out to dry here. This could have been a bait to say, hey, come in, try and fight my Murder Wing, and then I'll get Jar on Stim. I'll get some shots with Stabby, although the Stabby may die. Is the Stabby going to die to the fire? So the Stabby lives, but it's not long for this world. One of those two was going to go down. It was just a question of which. But we do see the Murder Wings trade effectively. Or essentially, not effectively, because it wasn't really an effective trade. And we do see a takedown on Cassowary, so this might have been an attempted bait. But we're looking now at Jar and Sheep versus these 3 Phobies. The bigger issue is the panic point advantage. If you were the orange player and you had the life and panic point advantage, maybe this position could work out for you. But realistically, the Jar goes down. The Sheep is going to go down in short order. And we're going to see a blue victory. We got 1 turn left, but shout out to both players. This was a really exciting series, especially that game 1. I'm hoping that all the other games that we have, both this round and in the future, live up to what these games have already provided. That's going to do it for this particular match. There are other round 2 matches. You can check them out here on the Random Thoughts YouTube channel. By the way, likes and subscribes really do help. And I try to make it a point to answer all of the comments that come in. Shout out to everybody who keeps leaving them on all of the videos. But as mentioned, that'll do it for this breakdown. If you're interested in playing in Fright Night yourself, we are going to be closing up Fright Night number 2 probably fairly soon by the time this goes live. So if you want to play in Fright Night, hit up the Random Thoughts Discord in the description of this YouTube video, or come by the live stream, RTChompGG, over on Twitch. But as always, everybody, thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and Black Lives Matter.